This is the breakdown. What? Hey, everybody. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the breakdown. Today, we'll be breaking down Void Beast, the one and only. I know him as Met, but you guys might be knowing him as Akachi Jones or Matthew Jones. It's Matt Jones. How you doing, Matt?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm good. I'm super excited because Volume 2 is hitting Kickstarter, and I am beyond excited. So let's talk a little bit about you first, and then we'll jump right into Void Beast. So I've known you for forever and a day now. Like it feels like forever. But I didn't know that you had all of this in you. Tell us a little bit about your writing experience and stuff like that. When did that all start?
A lot of it started I've always wrote here and there, but it was always like little notes here and there. Void Beast happened mainly back in 2012 or so, maybe even 2011. I would just write down notes. It was two guys, it was two brothers. Then I had something with some vampires and some other stuff, and I was like, I don't really like vampires, so I don't even know why I'm going down this route. If I did write vampires, I'd have to change it. But I was like, I've always liked werewolves, so I had to keep readjusting it in my head and keep readjusting it. And then finally, around 2015, 2016, I finally was like, you know what? I need to go ahead and get it together and do what I can. So I started finding people to help me get my thoughts together on writing and stuff. And then that's when I went further from there. And Void Beast started out as an ebook, and we just book route. And then after that, about late 2016, yeah, late 2016, people were like, this should be a manga or a comic book and stuff. And then I went that route and had to start searching for comic book artists and stuff. And that's a whole ordeal. And that was just something else. So we went from ebooks to the comics, and then we finally got first volume out in late 2018.
That sounds about right, yeah.
So about late 2018, we got Void Beast Volume 1 out.
So it did start as an ebook. I was one of the first people repping the shirt. You know, been there since the beginning. I bought the ebook, I bought the physical copy, the collection copy, the regular, like you can see I'm a fan. But I didn't know that, you know, you were into these I knew you liked anime and manga and stuff like that. I didn't know that you had this in you. So how much of werewolves did you know, and how much did you have to look up, or were you just like, screw it, I want my own take on werewolves?
Oh yeah, that's kind of the route I went, because like I'd always look at the werewolf movies and stuff, and I was like, okay, I like werewolves, but it's like they always mindless and crazy, or they're in some type of subservient position to vampires and stuff. And I was like, I don't like that. And the Hulk is, and we've talked about it before in GameStop and stuff and everything. Like the Hulk is my favorite superhero as far as the Marvel side. And so like, okay, let me kind of put my own spin on this. I know some of the lore, and we're coming up to where we'll throw some of that in there and everything. But it was mainly, I took the basics of the werewolf and just kind of threw what I wanted in there on it, because I just wanted to do that. And I always figured, you know how I am, like when it comes to work, I'm kind of like, if I got to do what somebody tells me at one place, when I go somewhere else in this mind, I'm not doing what anybody tell me. So whether you tell me like, well, you know, the werewolf, I'm sure for this one, I don't give two fucks. I'm doing it the way I want to. So that's how I kind of took it, and I just did it the way I wanted to, and we went that route with it.
I actually enjoyed that. So let's talk a little bit about Void Beast and TJ, the main protagonist. So tell us a little bit about Void Beast.
Okay, so Void Beast started out let me see. Let me start off with what they are. Void Beast, the way I wanted to do it was, I always figured I used to read like a lot of religious texts when I was younger. I'd read the Bible. I was in middle school and just reading the Bible myself, just nobody making me do it. I would just read it myself all through high schools and stuff. And I would read different religious texts. And one of the things that always got to me was the fact that in the beginning thing, like in the beginning of Genesis and stuff, and it talks about God being in the darkness and there was God and the Word was with God and stuff like. Well, okay, so God said, "Let there be light." Light pops up. It's like, so what was there? And so I kind of took that element and I put it onto the void beasts, where they were the creatures in the darkness with God, and they protected what God had in the darkness. So they're not just wild evil things and stuff like that. They protected what God had in the darkness, and one of them was corrupted. And this is kind of the first time I really explained it outside of the book. So the book is going to talk more about it. We'll go more in depth, but that's what they were. And one got corrupted, and all of these void beasts have a specific lineage, and that's the lineage of werewolf that TJ comes from. His family is the only one that has it, and they're the only ones that can control that power. So they can create black holes, they can teleport, they can create weapons out of dark matter, and all kind of other stuff that TJ can. And that's on as far as what a void beast is. And as far as the story, TJ is coming into his powers. His father dies, and he has to learn how to control his abilities because he's gotten in over his head on some stuff that's going on in the city as far as young girls going missing, his father dying, and then everything else just comes at him back to back to back. And I always tell people with the story, TJ is just as surprised at what's happening as you are. So
Yeah.
you're going on along on the same ride as TJ is.
I like that a lot. So I like the fact that I'm there with him. I'm experiencing everything with him for the first time. And then that's one of the things that and it's not because we're friends, because I'm not about that fake. Like if we were friends and I didn't like it, I'd be like, good for you, Matt, and walk away, because you know me, you know me long enough to know that I can't. Yeah, I don't have a poker face. um so for backstory, Matt and I have known each other 12 years,
Yeah.
right? That sounds about right. And Matt knows I have no poker face. If I don't like something, I can't fake my way through it. I can't. But that, and I like the fact that it's like, oh, okay, you're going through that. Oh, I'm going through that with you. You know what I mean? And I do like that a lot. How important was it for you for it to be something that's not been read before?
That was important to me because, like I said, I really wanted to make sure it was something that I haven't seen or anything. Because there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of werewolf stories, and a lot of them follow that same motto and stuff. And I like them. The truth of the matter is, I like a lot of them, but I just wanted it to be something different all around. And I wanted to mix that fast paced like manga anime feel to it,
Mhm.
and also the werewolf side to it. So it was really important, and also because it's just me, because I don't do well. Like we know how it go. Like I said, going back to the GameStop, know how it goes. It's like everybody's got to do this. You got to work within these grounds and stuff. And I'm just like, no, I'm doing something different.
I'm coloring outside the lines.
Yeah, I'm jumping all the way. I done worked and did this. I'm not coming here doing the same thing. So I'm just going to let my mind be free, and wherever it falls, we're going to create from there and let it be that.
Now, I won't give away too much of the story, obviously, but you have Black heroes and villains. You have Hispanic people in there. I was super excited. So, Zach and I, we've been reading this together since the beginning with you, and he was like, I don't get this name. And I'm like, that's Jasenia. And he was like, but it's not spelled that way. I'm like, that's because it's Hispanic. Did you purposely like look out that spelling? Because it's spelled with a Y, and a lot of people don't realize that in the Hispanic culture, Y is a J sound. And then it's not an E, it's an A. And I appreciated that a lot, because growing up, we're the same age. Growing up, there was no Gutierrez. There was no Yesenia, however you want to say it Hispanically.
Yeah.
There wasn't that. So what made you go outside of just the Black community and rep for the Hispanics as well?
I like everybody knows me, and I'm really big on the whole black thing. Everybody knows that. That like if you
Mhm.
follow my page, everything you know that. But the thing about it is, at the end of the day, I'm not against anyone, and I grew up that way. In Southern California, everybody was around, and some of my best friends are Hispanic, however, and then some of my best friends were Asian, and so I never had an issue with anybody that didn't have an issue with me. And so
Mhm.
some of us just been through a lot of stuff, and like I said, that's what I grew up around. It was always just, and I'm never comfortable when I'm in a place where there's not a variety of people. If there's like a bunch of one person, I get a little nervous. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I need to be around. So I want to make sure that I represented everybody that I can think of in the stories, and not just have them be bad guys or good guys or whatever. Because Yesenia, we have her whole story, and she doesn't go well. I'll say that later, but you'll see what happens with her and stuff in the next coming books as well.
Yeah. And I like that. I don't mind whether they're good or, well, I guess I shouldn't say I don't mind if they're bad if it's not stereotypical bad. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like there is such a way of having Hispanics represented and blacks represented in such a stereotypical evil way.
Mm-hmm.
We can be evil in such a variety of ways more than stereotypical.
And that was my thing with the story. It was like anybody I make, it's like if I'm making these templates of these characters or anything, I just look at it and I'm like, okay, could this person be whatever? And if they could be whatever, let's just make them whatever. Like I don't see the point if the person, and that's my thing, is like if the person can be Hispanic, Asian, trans, black, white, whatever, if they can be any of those things, I'll just throw it in there. I'm like,
Mhm.
all right, and then make sure that I take care with. And then once I figure they're
Yeah.
going to be that, I make sure that I take care of that character, whether they're good or bad. I make sure that they're not something stereotypical because I don't want that to happen with any of my characters. So I make sure it's
Mhm.
like, and if there's jokes, that's fine. It's like
Yeah,
if there's there, but not this ongoing thing to where they're just whole stereotype and everybody's looking at it, including myself, like,
yeah.
what in the world is going on with this? So yeah, I made sure to take care of that.
That's one of the things that I was going to say, that you do take care of these characters because it's the way it's written, it's the way that they're designed, it's the way that I envision it in my head. Because the first set, like you said, it was an ebook, and then you came out with the book, and it doesn't have like detailed pictures. So in my head, I had it, and I was like, oh my god, she's like so cool,
Yeah,
even though she's like this bitch. You know what I mean? Um, and I appreciate things like that. As a little Hispanic girl myself, representation matters, especially nowadays. And you have children. How important was this for the representation that you're trying to provide for your children? And did they have any input in these characters as well?
yeah, they TJ, his first name is Takeo, and that's my son's first name. And I always my son has autism, so he doesn't always speak, and when he does speak, it's just kind of like here and there and stuff. So I would show him the characters of TJ, and if he points or if he smiles or whatever, then I know he's good with it. So I'm like, okay, good, good. And we call my son TK instead of TJ, and so I would bring TK around and I would have him look at TJ, look at it, and so I would always just kind of think of what my son would do in these situations in certain things,
Uh,
either with the autism or without the autism. So I try to make sure that TJ represents that. And then as far as the character Denise, that's my daughter's middle name, and I kind of took what my daughter Destiny, and just kind of put her. Yeah, I just kind of put her the same way as my daughter would be. So she's a lot of what my daughter is. Some of Denise's attitudes just kind
and
of
you're
like,
talking about your oldest
you know,
daughter,
type.
right? Your oldest
Yeah,
daughter, right? Not the baby girl.
not the baby, not the baby. My oldest is her middle name is Denise. So she is definitely Denise at the core. One minute Denise is like, then the next minute she's excited about everything and everything happens. So that's kind of how my daughter is. So they played a lot of that. They played a lot of that. And then also my videos, like when I made the little animations, my son is always excited for it. So if I can get him excited, then it keeps. Then I know that it's pretty good.
Yeah, those videos, I was like, I watched them on repeat so much that I think Joseph was just like, again? And I'm like, good school, leave me alone. Like, don't make fun of me. So let's talk about your Kickstarter for Volume 2.
Yeah.
So the story continues on. Are we going to see new characters in this as well?
And in this Kickstarter, we're doing it a little different, where I'm breaking it up into chapters instead of whole volumes, because people are like, they were like, it's a lot to read at once. I got a lot of that. And then it was like, well, can you put it in chapters? So I'm like, okay, I put it in chapters, and we have it in shorter chapters this time. So it's about 26 to 30 pages or so. So we have it in a smaller, same story, but the chapters are a little bit smaller. And so we'll be going chapter to chapter. But as far as new characters, no new characters just yet. No new characters. We're kind of sticking to characters that you know and just building on that. The whole goal of Training Grounds, Void Beast Chapter 2 Training Grounds, is that TJ is learning how to control his powers more, and all of the wolves are training for what's coming. Because they don't know what happened after. They don't know if Rex is coming back. They don't know what happened at the end of Volume 1. So all
that's what I was getting ready to ask, about the battle that happened towards the end. Does that carry over into the beginning of chapter Volume 2? I guess I should say.
No, and it doesn't carry over. But they still think it does, because they haven't heard anything in a while. They don't know what's going on, so they're thinking one thing and something else is going on.
Okay. So Volume 2, are you able to tell us, is it going to be comic book style, or is it going to be in the book form, like just the words?
It's going to be pictures. It's going to be just following up as the same thing as Volume 1. Same artist, same.
Nice. Okay.
It'll still be in the manga format.
So we have a comic book that we're representing, and it's in black and white. And I told Jack, our producer, that not a lot of comic books can pull this off. And when I was talking about that, I had yours in mind, because yours is in black and white, and it is so well done. How I know this is going to sound terrible, but how difficult was the artist finding process for you? Because I want to keep it real for those that are doing their indie stuff. We got to keep it real for them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. It was rough, because a lot of people talk about finding artists, and I can't draw at all. So I wasn't going to play that and be like, well, by the time I get good at drawing, it'll be years on end and I'll be done. But so I started out with a few different artists, and they were either busy or I couldn't get hold of people. I tried a bunch of well-known folks. I tried smaller people, and it just went through this process of they were either busy or they had something else bigger coming up or something they had to work on. So I couldn't stick with them. So I would be on DeviantArt, I'd be on Instagram, I'd be on Facebook, Twitter, art message boards. What was it? What else? I'd be on LinkedIn, like anything I could figure I could find an artist at, and I would just message, and sometimes I stay up 3, 4 in the morning messaging people. Jeez. And then I would find certain people, and they would do it, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I draw like this." So I was like, "Okay," so I pay for a few pages, and then it didn't come out the way I wanted it to. And
trying to find pages without any spoilers. This is pimp. Like, this is such great work.
Go to another artist. Like, okay. I've seen those first few pages at least, but from like 4 to 5 different artists. Like, I haven't put them out, but I've seen those first like pages from like 4 or 5 different artists, and I just got tired of looking at them after a while. And so the last artist, his name is Rexy, and he was one of my favorite ones. I got a hold of him, and he said he could do it. And he had an emergency where he had to move to Canada with his family from the Philippines, I believe. And I was like, no. And then I was like, I'm done. So he finally, I asked him what else to do. So I said, can you please reference, is there anybody else that you could pass this off to? Like, is there anybody else that could do it or anything like that? And so he was like, I think I have a guy. And then he sent me to Francis, the artist that I'm working with now. And Francis came along with Andy that does the tones and everything. And, and Francis has been nothing but.
Uh-oh. We've lost.
So
Oh, there you are.
I was really glad to have them and stuff. So that's where we went with that.
Okay. We've lost your video. I can't see you. I can hear you, but I can't see you, so I don't know what happened. Can you hear me? Woo, okay. So I had 2 other questions and I've lost them. I should have written them down. But anyway, okay. So we were talking about the Kickstarter. Okay. Does Kickstarter end like, or does it have like a cutoff date, or is that just like once you get your funds going?
It has a cutoff date. So you start it at whatever you can put it at. You can end it at a certain day or a certain amount of days.
Okay.
You can say I want it to end on November 1st, or you can say I want it to end after 25 days, 30 days, or however you want to do it. So it all depends on what your goals are.
Okay. So after Void Beast, are we going to see more Denise?
That is the plan. Where I'm still getting everything together with her. We're giving her a new design and stuff for happening. She's gonna look the same, just different clothes.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. I was like, oh, we're changing her up. I thought she was so cute.
She's still that. She still looked the same. We're just giving her some different clothes and stuff for where she's going to be headed. And these are clothes her and this other girl pick out for her. So yeah. So she still have, but yes, Denise I had got a lot of positive reaction from Denise. From the last con I got to go to was Black Comics Day out in San Diego with and Jones and everybody. And I was surprised that I sold out of Denise. And I don't know if it was because of the price or whatever, but I sold out of it, and I got a lot of feedback from it on the second day from people coming in and telling me about the character. And this is from young ladies to older women just telling me that they really felt and liked basically the freedom that Denise brought in how she was with her abilities. Because Denise isn't one of those people that's like, oh man, why did this happen to me? I can't believe this happened. I hate this.
A whiny bitch. Like I talk about it so much on this show that they like, and it's no disrespect to you because you're writing for a female, but a lot of male writers that write for females don't get the female perspective and make them so whiny and make them so indecisive. Are they a badass or are they like subdued and meek? You know what I mean? And that's why I'm like, are we gonna see more of Denise? Because she's so different to that. How much of that input did you seek out from other women while you were writing her to make sure she wasn't written terribly?
I would ask different people, but Stephanie Koklish is my co-writer that helped me out with a lot of stuff. So she would put a lot of her input in on Denise, and it always helps. Stephanie always helped me get my head right on where we're going and how we're doing the project. So she was a big help with that. Stephanie was a big help with that.
Okay. And that's good. That's definitely good because that's why you're getting the positive feedback on Denise. I'm like covered here in Void Beast comics and everything, because she is written so free. It's true. You read it and you're like, finally, a good female lead. I love it. Yeah. But she started off in Void Beast. What made you? Did you always know that you were going to give her own little side stories and stuff?
For her, I kind of did. I wanted to. I couldn't figure out how to do it, and then I was like, okay, I'll just take this and go this route because I liked the idea of. I've always liked zombies, and I figured, well, let me make it be a focal point of a person that just kind of controls them, and the zombies listen and do whatever this person does. And so Denise starts out where she can do like a couple of them, she can control a couple of them here and there to where she can just control whole hordes of them. And it becomes a thing where she's the focal point of the zombies to where they go whether they're miles away, they are trying to go where she's at. So it's going to cause a lot of problems wherever she goes and with the people that are trying to avoid it. But as long as she gets better at her powers, um, it'll be fine. But if you've read Denise, you know how Denise is, and she's going to be in some situations with all of this. So it's kind of interesting because I always tell people like a 16-year-old black girl with an attitude like Deadpool or something to a certain extent,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
like imagine how that's going to go, and you'll see in the story.
I'm excited. I'm excited because it is kind of funny to see her like, own her own and hold her own, but still trying to figure out what, she and the same goes for TJ too, because he's trying to figure out how to control all of this. His weapons I thought were pretty cool. They are formed from black matter, correct?
Yeah, they're from dark matter. Yep, yep, yep.
What made you decide to go that route?
I went that route because of the whole darkness thing from the beginning with them being in the dark, and if they were hanging around in the dark with God, I figured that they would be able to control it and know how to use it to their advantage. And so that's kind of why I went with that. And then so I kind of mixed that with a Venom like for TJ and the Void Beast.
Okay. Well, I won't take up any more of your time because I know you're a very busy man. So for those that want to follow, that need to buy these comics like I have because I'm obsessed, where can they find your comics?
You can find them on akachicomics.com. And so I have all of the first ones there, and it's AKACHICOMICS.
Akachi Comics.
Comics. Yeah, .com. Oh, I spelled that right. I'm sure.
Don't worry, we have the link.
With the new book, I'll be going more of a route of this one in the next couple of books will be exclusively on Kickstarter. So chapter 2 and stuff will be only on Kickstarter, and you have to back the Kickstarter because of me traveling for work. It makes it easier for me to send everything out to everybody in one shot and let it be done. So I'll be doing that until I can get, and hopefully some other things will pop up, but we'll see.
Yay! Well, Matt, thank you so much for taking time to talk to little old me. I'm super excited about Volume 2. Guys, you have to get Void Beast, the first one, catch up, and then get Volume 2. I promise you, this is one of these books that you will not regret reading. It is so much fun. And then when you're done with this, go get yourself Denise, because it's also just as great as Void Beast. And as always, guys, like, share, subscribe. See you guys next Wednesday. Bye, everyone.